Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is an example of a second generation modern era Omega Seamaster 300, the most vintage flavored of the current Seamaster dive watches. This timepiece, as you see it here, launched in 2021 as the second generation. The timepiece is thinner, it has a larger dial, anodized aluminum bezel insert, and graphically it's more true to history with a minimalist dial that consigns most of the advertising to the case back. We'll talk about some of the changes, but let's talk about the dimensions first. It's still 41 millimeters in diameter. It's now thinner than before. Not a lot, but some. It used to be 14.9 millimeters thick in steel. Now it's 14.2. Lug tip to lug tip, it's 48.2 millimeters, and if you add the end links to the bracelet, the total distance across the wrist is 50.1, and we've got a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I'll throw this on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. Now you can see it'll fit. I would say this is fine for a wrist of 16 centimeters circumference and up, maybe 15 if your wrist is very flat. Taking a look down the barrel, I do have a little bit of clearance, so 15 might just work. It is a large watch though. Feels more like a modern timepiece in that regard. It's thinner, there's no doubt, but if you have the tightest of dress cuffs, they'll probably get hung up on that bezel, though a jacket will fit just fine. Here's your over the top, which always exaggerates the width of a watch, but I give it to you because many ask. The bracelet's a lovely piece, though not too integrated. We've got an end link to conform it to the case, a little bit of tapering down towards the clasp. We got satin center links, we have polished outer links. Removable links, including an intermediate size link on each side, so if you find yourself in between sizes with the main ones, you got the intermediate. We have a single fold deployant with twin trigger release. It's all thick gauge steel, very secure. One trigger will not open it, you must press both. Rolling around now, we have a little push button slider that gives you a degree of adjustability, about 9.6 millimeters. So this is not necessarily a dive extension, but it is a sizing accommodation. Rolling around to the case, you can see this is not a crown guard structure. This is a vintage style, minimally beveled, squared off lugs, narrow case band. And to make the watch a little bit more true to history, we have on the steel versions of this generation an anodized aluminum insert in the bezel rather than the previous ceramic, which is a much more modern look. So this is anodized aluminum. The main difference in size on this watch is going to be the thickness. This is 14.2. The original, again in steel, keeping apples to apples, was 14.9. But a major change on the top side deals with the size of the dial. So previously, it was 29.5. Now the dial is larger, and it is 30.4. Small changes, but they do add up. You can also see we have a bubble plexi-like sapphire, and it is a sapphire and a little bit of a thinner bezel. Don't be deceived though, the watch does still have plenty of luminescence. You can see the entire bezel is calibrated and loomed. So though it is anodized aluminum, it's calibrated every 5 minutes. You line up the green bezel pearl with the green minute hand, and it's easy to read the two critical timing references relative to each other at a glance. You can also see that the lollipop style seconds hand is loomed, a feature every dive watch should have, because you know if your dive timer is working as you get into deeper depths with less light, or if you're diving at night. You can also see we have a lovely quarter Arabic dial layout with open 9s and open 6s. We'll go back, take a look. And you can see that the dial itself has less text than in the past. There used to be quite a bit of advertising about the mechanical specification for the watch, and as I alluded earlier, all of that's on the back now, where frankly it belongs. The bezel has a sharp knurling that's easy to grasp with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. It's night and day easy compared to something like the Diver 300 meter with its shallow scalloped knurling. It's not the most refined action, but it is precise with 120 click gradient. It's a very fine and easy to place measure. Now you can see we've got a dial that's very similar to Panerai sandwich dials in that we have a stencil on the top with cutouts for the numerals and the indices, and then loom underneath that, so it has a little bit of a 3D effect to it as well as a unique loom aspect. Taking another look, you can see what I mean when I say this plexi style sapphire has an unusual camber to it to make it look a little bit more bubble-like. We also have a new crown profile, which is slightly conical. It's still a screw down. Now this is not considered to be at the entry level of a diver 300 meter, and you know that because we have the ability to move the hour hand independently. The 8900 movements have that, the 88s do not. So this is not like the diver 300 meter, which only has a quick set and stop seconds. This does have stop seconds, though it does not have a quick set due to the obvious absence of a date. Seamaster 300. So this watch, with its layout, dial style, case profile, and lollipop seconds, is designed to hark back to the early days of the Omega Seamaster 300 in the late 50s and early 60s. The original Seamaster was more of a water-resistant dress watch when it came out in 1948. It wasn't until 1957 that we started seeing watches more like this that were designed as divers from the outset. Turn it over, though. Now this watch is all modern. So a couple things to note. We've got the 8912 movement, which is the 8900 with out of date, 2 barrels, automatic winding, 60-hour power reserve, 38 joules. It beats at 25,200 vibrations per hour. It is a master chronometer, which means it's tested fully cased up in 6 positions to run no worse than -0 + 5 seconds per 24 hours. Tested for winding efficiency, the 60-hour power reserve, durability, chronometry, and anti-magnetism alongside water resistance. So it's actually shocked to over 15,000 Gauss, or 1.5 Tesla. That is a minimum resistance, not a maximum. All of these tests in aggregate are the METAS, or Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, chronometer standard. We've got a full balance bridge with a free-sprung balance for shock resistance, the free-sprung balance also allowing for very precise adjustment, and a coaxial escapement as envisioned by George Daniels and perfected in scale production by Omega. It is a direct and indirect impulse system that replaces the sliding friction of a Swiss lever with tangential friction, which is less, improving power reserve, reducing maintenance requirements, and also improving the chronometric potential of the watch, which is now realized with the master chronometer test. There is lots to love, and again, you can hack the seconds to set it to a reference time. It's a good-looking movement. It features blackened and polished screws. It's actually got both. Arabesque Côte de Genève, a little bit of engine turning on the base plate, and mechanically applied but handsome bevels. If you love this watch, which features an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, balance staff, balance, and escapement, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.